Have you ever gone to a meeting and you didn't know how to prepare or you didn't know what it was about and you kind of get ambushed by the whole thing? And before you know it, you're in the middle of the meeting. And if you knew a little bit of facts about what was going to be discussed or the areas that you needed to be knowledgeable about, the whole conversation would have gone differently. Well, that's something that tends to happen sometimes with families as they're going into transition meetings. And today we're going to talk about how to avoid that scenario and make sure that whenever you go to these meetings, you're ready. You've had a time to consider all the different facts, all the data, your young adults' interests, and also some of the areas that they're going to need support in. Hi, I'm Dr. Navarro. I work with students with disabilities and their parents, helping them get the most successful transition possible. And so today we're going to take a look at some common scenarios related to going to transition plan meetings and how to avoid those scenarios. And also, I'm going to give you a resource where you can be ready to discuss your young adult's particular scenario and make sure that the products that the school is producing accurately reflect what they need in order to be successful for the school year. Schools tend to have the element of surprise with transition meetings, and the IPE team is going to develop something typically ahead of time. Uh, Unfortunately, a lot of times it ends up being just a template where they've copied from a previous student and they've changed the name, changed the facts, and so what we want to make sure is that the information that's on there, we already kind of have an idea of what to expect. So the best practice the best practice is really for schools to provide a draft IEP with the transition plan to you ahead of time. And so even though the transition plan might be created in advance, they should be able to give you kind of that draft so you can take a look at it before you meet, before it's finalized. And if you can ask for that 3 to 5 days in advance, that's great. You can just send an email to the teacher that's responsible for the meetings and say, hey, I want a copy of that transition plan. I want a copy of that IEP for the meeting. Any assessment data that you're going to use, I want a copy of that. Get all that information ahead of time so that way, whenever you go to the meeting, you won't have to worry about trying to take it all in right at that moment. Because the meetings, typically, they're moving pretty fast. People want to get home. People have other duties or responsibilities that they have to attend to. So your time at that point is limited. But what's not limited is your time to prepare for that. So whenever we look at ideal components versus typical issues with transition plans, that's going to include things like the specific program that our young adult is going to participate in. We don't want something that's really vague, like the student will participate in training or the student just wants to work in a particular field. Uh, there should be specific programs named and also mention of their academic performance in relation to their employment goal. The next one is having clear employment goals because a lot of times they'll be very generic. They'll talk about working in a field versus having a specific career within a field. You want to be able to drill down to what type of work are they going to be doing? What type of position would they be starting off in? And these things should also reflect assessments. They should reflect the documented strengths that your young adult has. Also, a lot of schools really aren't going to focus on independent living goals. So it will be up to you to either foster and facilitate that at home or to bring it up at the school as something that you would like the school to provide some type of curriculum or training on. Because a lot of times IEPs don't have that in there. And whenever I do see it on an IEP, it's usually just a blank area. I think that the schools typically expect for us as parents to take care of that, which is fine. We can definitely do that, but we need to know ahead of time and we need to get an opportunity to see what the school could provide if they had any resources for helping with independent living. And then the next area is course of study. Sometimes it'll have college prep, or it'll have technical, or it'll have general ed pathway. We want to drill down and really make sure that if there is a specialized pathway that our young adult will be participating in, that it's listed inside of the course of study. And so if our young adult's interested in engineering, for example, we need to make sure that any courses that are being taken really reflect that. We're not going to be a graphic designer if we're not taking any art courses. We really need to make sure that those types of things are included inside of the the courses that are coming up for the next semester or the next year. And so this particular guide that I've created for you, it really is intended to help you be really confident going into the meeting and to really think about from grade level to grade level what we need to focus on for our young adult to be successful, starting all the way in the 8th grade, because transition should be a conversation in that 8th grade year. That's where we're really building a foundational awareness of our interests, really beginning to explore different potential employment options that can include hobbies, just having general curiosity about the things that we are interested in, that we enjoy. And this self-awareness is something that we will build on every single grade level. And it also helps our child kind of have some confidence in what they're intending to do, because otherwise careers can be very abstract, and without some type of building blocks to say, yes, I do enjoy these things, I've done them before, and I know I can do them well, and that's why I'm interested in this particular career. Without that, then we're just kind of play and pretend without any basis of really knowing whether or not the career is going to be a good fit or not. And in 8th grade is a good time to begin to practice some daily living skills. So we're doing that at home. We're expecting some chores. We're reinforcing that eventually you're going to be doing this on your own. And that building that awareness really helps our young adult understand that this is a crucial opportunity for them to learn some skills that they're going to have to carry forward. And so in 9th grade, we are still doing some exploration, but we should be kind of fine tuning the coursework to really fit some of the general interests that our young adult has. So they should be really focused on subjects that are tied to their interest and really looking at how those things translate into real world jobs. A lot of times we'll have our young adults say, I don't understand why I have to learn this particular thing. And those are teachable moments. Those are moments where we can say, hey, this particular skill is useful in these parts of daily living. And more often than not, there are some valuable things that almost every single subject can provide. And really, whenever we're looking at other opportunities as far as coursework goes, electives, they shouldn't be throwaway courses. They should be something that can enrich our young adult to make better informed choices for their career goals in the future. If they have particular interests and the school has elective courses that align with that, then those are the courses they should be taking. You have to be somewhat knowledgeable about what courses are available and not just let an elective course be used for something that really doesn't have any value in regards to our hobbies, our interests, developing ourselves. And also 9th grade is a really good time to really introduce things like job shadowing, finding out who in your community does the type of work that our young adult might be interested in. If you know somebody that knows somebody, or if you can just go visit a place that does that particular kind of work, and then give them an opportunity to take a look at it, see the ins and outs of it, explore, and really begin to make it more concrete. Because again, a lot of times careers can be very very difficult to define if we really haven't been exposed to them very much. So again, we're just talking about small steps here. We're still in 9th grade, but we should be thinking about those types of things. Somewhere in 9th or 10th grade, there's going to be opportunities to do things like take the ASVAB for the military, or the SAT or ACT for college, or the PSAT, which is kind of a prep opportunity for the SAT. And also, that what comes along with that is making sure that we're taking coursework that can help us do well in whatever type of assessment we need to take in order to be able to move to the next level as far as our career goals go. Getting into 10th grade, 10th grade is where we're really beginning to build skills. So we should still be working to identify strengths and match to career paths, but really we should have some type of a hands-on experience as well. That's where volunteering comes in. That's where just being part of a community that is actively doing something that we enjoy and that we can experience is important. So in our busy lives, we may think that we're just way too busy to have our young adult be part of some type of team or some type of a group, interest group. But the thing is that what we'll find later on is if we don't do those things now, then in 12th grade, we realize that our young adult's been kind of shortchanged whenever it comes to really getting a chance to develop that sense of community and that ability to socialize. It seems like a big hassle, but then whenever it's too late, then we wish we would have done it. So giving them a chance to build community, giving them a chance to be independent, making sure that by the time we're getting into that 10th grade, 11th grade year, we should have some solid independent skills whenever it comes to daily responsibilities, routines, habits where we have things that we are doing on our own and we can be responsible for them. Our time management should be a focus. It should be a point of discussion. If we're consistently late for something, I know as a parent, I might be inclined to provide lots of verbal reminders, but at some point you have to say, hey, how are you going to remind yourself? And so time management and being able to self-plan is very important. And then whenever we're talking about course selection, we really should be continuing to pick things that align with career goals, with training goals. Many schools have career and technical education departments that can provide a little bit more specific courses depending on what your young adult's interested in. And then there's even just general courses that they might take if they're interested in a particular field like sociology, psychology, any of the maths, any of the sciences. That those courses are kind of built in as things that we're expected to do. In 10th and 11th grade, we also might have an opportunity to do more AP classes or dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is a situation where a young adult would be admitted to a college or technical school. Sometimes they do courses online, sometimes they do courses in person at the actual institution that they've been admitted to, and they're able to earn some credits while they're in high school in order to be even more college ready or even more ready for their transition because they get a chance to earn some type of credits for a certification or a degree. Once we start getting into 11th grade, we really are going to focus a lot on having our young adult be the person that kind of runs the show, kind of begins to facilitate some of the things on their own. I've often heard educators talk about how whenever things are planned for you all the time, and then all of a sudden at 12th grade, you're just given the reins and say, here, you do it. But you haven't had any chance to practice. It's a shock, and it doesn't typically go as well as we would like. So this 11th and 12th grade year is a chance to kind of hand the reins over a little bit, give some guidance, even if the look on our face, even if the look on the face of our young adult is confusion at first, it's an opportunity to show them what to do in that role. So we're looking for opportunities to help our young adults succeed. We're looking for real world experiences at this point. So we should be doing a part-time job. We should be doing summer jobs. We should be going to internships. Uh, we should be volunteering. We should be doing lots and lots of social interactions because that's what we do as an adult. And so we have to provide those opportunities uh, during this time to make it where it's kind of natural. Right. So that's part of just preparing for that transition, giving them a chance to apply those skills, and really being more of a self advocate, make an informed choice. That's very important. And then in 12th grade, really we're looking at having some type of ownership that is at the highest point than it's been during their entire high school career. So they should be finalizing their post-secondary plans. We shouldn't be doing it for them. We can definitely be a supporter, and we can be someone that helps reflect on things. But whenever it comes to going to college, going to tech school, training, work, they will need to be positioned to really be driving that. And you can have it as an expectation. What are you going to do? These are the things that you have as options. These are the things that you like. And these are the things that you said that you wanted to do. So encouraging that ownership is really important. Uh, Whenever we go to IEP meetings and transition meetings, our young adult should be leading the meeting. You can let the school know, I really want my young adult to facilitate this meeting. What do they need to do? And begin to lay the groundwork for that. You just need to communicate that with the school so that way they know that's what's going to happen. And then just continuing to practice those adult living skills. By this time, we should be budgeting. We should be setting up transportation. We should be working with a bank account or money or savings. We should understand how to get places. Whenever my young adult was first learning how to drive, they did not recognize how to get anywhere, even though I've been driving them all over the place. They didn't realize, oh, okay, so you use this particular road to get to this particular town. They didn't even know how they usually got to school. Like they kind of had a general idea, but the thing is that whenever it comes to the executive function, all the steps to get from your house to school, like they had to build that up. So at some point, you start asking your young adult, hey, pull this up on Google Maps. Tell me how to get there. So that way they're kind of actively playing a role and they get used to that over time, and it's again less of a shock for them because there are so many adult skills that just right at the very end of everything we're just expected to do. And I think that a lot of times as older adults we tend to say, oh, okay, they'll figure it out, they'll learn. But what we don't realize is that everybody comes with a different set of skills, and just being tossed into a scenario to learn something can be quite traumatic, and it also sets us up for failure. So whenever our young adult has an opportunity sooner while they're still in high school, you can do a lot of these things. So some takeaways for this particular scenario: just realize that you're looking at strengths. You're trying to build strengths and you're trying to capitalize on existing strengths. You're also really encouraging lots of exploration early on in high school. And then as we're transitioning into 11th and 12th grade, we should be building a foundation of coursework and experiences that all point to the particular career that we're interested in. We should be really focusing on graduated independence. So we're teaching lots of things in 9th and 10th grade, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And then once we get into 11th and 12th, some things that adults do should be behaviors that we see from our young adult. And ultimately, the school is our collaborators. They are part of our collaborative team. So we just have to communicate with them and let them know what the expectations are that we have. If we can do that, then we will actually have greater success. Schools are really prepared to kind of run the whole thing because it's part of what they're expected to do. And they get really excited whenever we know more about the direction that our young adult wants to go in, and we're involved. So you can be that guide, you can be that encourager, you can help your child make discoveries, and be much more confident for the transition to come. So I have this resource available for you. The link is in the description. And I will be doing some more sessions that focus on the different parts of the transition plan. I did a general overview of transition plans, but once I did that, I realized that really we could do a much deeper dive into different parts of that. So the next video that I'll do will be specifically what should the preferences, strengths, and interests in course of study section look like for your young adult in high school, and how it changes from year to year. Because again, the transition plan is a scaffolded thing that we build on every single year. Thanks.